before we get started with the second episode of Please Be Offended, I have a couple of things to say to you guys. So, number one, apologies for the delay. I've had a few commissions lined up over the past couple of months, and I was busy with the first one, which I have completed now. So, yeah, if you're interested in art or if you're interested in checking out what I did, you can go to the Insta ID given in the intro and check out my work. Other than that, I will also be putting up other commissions that I have lined up currently, and you can check them out as well. The second thing that I wanted to talk about was this particular episode and how it ends. So we decided to end this episode abruptly because we started talking about things that we'd rather keep for other episodes. So this is me doing that meta shit where I'm telling you about it before you even get to see it. But yeah, so that is by choice. We decided to cut out the episode abruptly. I hope you enjoy it. It was a lot of fun for us, and we recorded it a while ago, so it's been nice to go through it again. But anyway, I won't bore you with all of that. I hope you enjoy the episode. Like, share, subscribe. Get this out to as many people as possible, and yeah, let's get on with it. Cheers.
Cheers.
Alright, hi guys. Welcome to this second episode of Please Be Offended. And why are you laughing at that?
I just chuckled, man.
So, for this episode, we have two very interesting topics which have been suggested by a friend who saw the first episode and called me from London specially to tell me that he wanted me to talk about the Olympics and about Bangladesh. Very different topics, but nonetheless, I think we can cover both of them because, to be very frank, I don't know the nitty-gritties of what's happening in Bangladesh. I have a very generic idea of what is going on, but then yeah, of course, like most people, that is all that we are privy to, so we can discuss that. And yeah, and I want to talk about the Olympics as well, about how India did at the Olympics, about some of the fucked up controversies that have come up in the Olympics because those are kind of funny. And yeah, so let's get into it. So what do you want to start with?
Let's go to the Olympics.
Okay, yeah. Makes sense.
Let's go to the big one.
Okay, so this is interesting. Do you know that they recreated the Last Supper with trans women, and that became a whole issue?
It's actually not the Last Supper.
But that's what the idea was, right?
No. It was actually Dionysian's parties. People assumed it was the Last
Dionysus.
Supper. Dionysus.
His parties.
Yeah, one of his parties.
I mean, then it's less offensive, but still, that's kind of fucked up.
I think it's ignorance at play.
No, but what do you think the motivation was behind trying to do something like that with trans people?
Well, part of it was obviously political, optical, reasoning. They're trying to show that they're a lot more progressive, which is funny because France right now is being, I think, run by a pretty far-right party.
Yeah.
Right?
Kind of.
Yeah. So it's kind of odd seeing them come to terms with trans rights and trans policies.
Mm-hmm.
So the Olympics itself, I'm not really that, I guess, offended. Title card.
Yeah, why would you be offended?
Yeah, I mean,
you are neither a Christian.
I don't get offended very often in the first place, but I'm not even that not interested, but I'm not that impacted I'm not impacted at all by the whole Dionysius thing. And I guess the bigger part is, for me, you have to start questioning about the rule set regarding trans athletes, everything that's going on.
Oh, you're talking about the boxer, right?
Well, so
can you just Google her name, because
Imane Khalif.
Oh, fuck! You came prepared.
I came somewhat. There's a whole thing about her as well, which is that she is actually the whole controversy is also pretty stupid.
So what is your view on her?
My view is that people are taking the image and running, with everything regarding the Olympics. They're taking the image and they're stretching it to a mile. Taking an inch, stretching it to a mile.
In what sense?
So Imane Khalif was born a woman. She is currently a woman as well. The whole controversy is
I love this. This is what I love about
flip-flop, right?
this time in history, right? Like, you can't end the sentence that she was born a woman or he was born a man. You then have to say, and still is, still is.
We have to clarify, right?
Yeah.
Especially now.
No, I get what you're saying.
But the controversy began with her gender tests, which are the parameters.
Yeah, she presented with XY chromosomes, right?
Before and like in the previous Olympics, I think it was 2022, and the parameters for the tests themselves are not very. We don't know them at all. We don't know how they're conducted, what the methodology is. Like, we really don't know what the fuck is going on.
Basically, we're questioning how genuine Olympic testing is.
Yeah, I'm not even sure if it was Olympics. I think it was something else, maybe Commonwealth or something. I'm not sure. But there was a testing. The whole methodology.
I don't think it was the Olympics. I think it was a separate competition.
Yeah.
But she did present with XY chromosomes, and so that is a big no-no, right? Because men are supposed to have XY chromosomes. But then, as a medical professional, I know that there are certain disorders, in developmental disorders, in which people who are born as women present with XY chromosomes. But then here is my thing, right? So in those cases, as you can actually see with this athlete as well, like, she's broad-shouldered, which is uncharacteristic for most women, right? So these people who are born with XY chromosomes, they go through the puberty or the development that their body experiences during puberty in a way that is very similar to men. So in my head, you are kind of going beyond the brief of what a woman is supposed to be in competition by developing as more of a man, you know? So I'm not saying that I know what is right and she should be banned or any of that. My whole thing is, there are certain things that should be taken into consideration, which I don't think are being taken into consideration because of the whole trans conversation and how woke people are right now. So either way, whether you think she should be competing with women or not, I think things should be more transparent in this case, right? Like, for example, her testosterone levels are said to be sky high, which is not supposed to be the case.
Yeah, because higher testosterone, more muscle mass, everything.
Exactly, right. So, okay, even if you're born as a woman, but then you have XY chromosomes, you go through puberty with higher levels of testosterone, so your physique develops more like a man.
Yeah.
You develop the muscle density and strength that men usually have, and then you have skyrocketing testosterone levels. Like, you might be a woman, but everything that is helping you be a boxer physically is that of a man. So then that is where, for me, the question arises. Like, regardless of whether you were born as a woman or not, should you still be competing with women?
The whole point of men and the divisions, right? Why do we have weight classes? Because guys at the higher weight class will fucking demolish the guys at the bottom. Mass and weight matters.
Exactly.
It's not because we don't want men fighting with women. It's because biological differences make that necessary for competition to be at least remotely equal.
I think that is also a factor. We don't want men fighting against women.
I don't know. I don't particularly care. If the woman is up for it, then whatever, right? I mean, but even then, like, the biological differences are just too big to, like, you can't cast it away.
Exactly. See, a man fighting a woman is the same as a man who has been injected with steroids to the gills fighting another normal man.
Yeah.
Right? It gives you a physical advantage. And my whole thing is, in boxing or in MMA or in all of these combat
physical
sports.
advantage matters.
Yeah, no, in combat sports, right?
Yeah.
So, okay, if it's tennis or... Let me finish, right? If it's tennis or if it's cycling, I will still understand, right? If somebody is doping or if somebody is presenting with high levels of testosterone and all of that shit. Because there are very few physical ramifications to competing against an enhanced person or somebody like this boxer, this lady who has high levels of testosterone and is physically more developed, right? There are no physical ramifications because the cyclist is not going to physically hurt you, right? But in boxing and in MMA, if you have that physical advantage, you can literally kill somebody or maim them and affect them for life, right? So I think that is where the line should be drawn.
Absolutely.
That is my whole thing. And so, like I said before, I am not the authority on whether she should be banned or she should be allowed to compete with women or not, right? That is not my prerogative here. My whole idea is, why is the Olympics testing committee not transparent about the tests that they have done?
Yeah.
And why don't they then explain that this is what we did, this is what we tested for, these were the results, this is what it means from our perspective, and this is why we are banning her, or this is why we are allowing her to compete, right?
Right.
I think that transparency should exist so that the controversy doesn't blow out of proportion. And to a certain degree, I think they allow the controversy to blow out of proportion because it gets them
Marketing.
more attention, right? You have more people talking about women's boxing.
Yeah, for the corporate guys, this is pretty much a gold mine. They can run with this for a while. For everybody else, I mean, this is just a Turkish shoot, to be honest. Everybody is just picking their own angle, trying to go for their own politics.
Yeah.
Which is kind of why I fucking hate politics, to be honest. Nobody's actually
you're
being
one
productive.
Of those, you're one of those interesting people who absolutely fucking hates politics, but you will bring it up in every second conversation anyway.
No, like, see, the problem is finding politics in good faith, right? Exactly.
That is the most glaring oxymoron you could have come up with.
Yeah, I know that it's like a unicorn, but that's what I'm looking for, right? If I ever want to talk about politics, it's politics in good faith. We're not trying to lambast each other. We're not trying to pull each other down. There's an actual dialectic discussion going on. We're trying to progress things forward. You know, not pick sides, not pick our angle. Somebody's actually trying to learn. We're not trying to tear each other down.
Yeah, that kind of reminds me of India post-independence, like immediately after independence. So there was an era in India's political development as a nation initially, where both the right and the left would sit down in parliament and find ways to, understand each other and try and find a middle ground, which is something we haven't seen in many decades
It's
now.
gone.
Right? And even in other countries, like even if you look at America or other countries, post-independence or after they established the system that they're currently still functioning within the bounds of, the 2 or 3 or 4 sides that would make up the political spectrum would find ways to collaborate for the betterment of the nation, which I think is something that is missing from politics all over the world now, because people are not willing to find a middle ground. Right?
Internet doesn't help.
That, and so for me, the whole essence of democratic systems is to find the middle ground, right? That is why I'm a centrist, because that is where democracy exists, because you're supposed to bring the left and the right to align with a specific ideology that has the perfect mix of both, and that is how democracy should function. Otherwise you would either be a fascist country or a communist country. Right.
I think mine is slightly different in the sense that I don't.
You are a leftist.
No, I have left biases, absolutely. But my perspective on this is different in the sense that I don't particularly care about the left as a group or the right as a group. I care about policies. I'm not interested in aligning with somebody. I'm not interested in bringing people together, because there is going to be points where one side is completely batshit insane, the other side is just normal, right? Trying to bring a middle ground in that just leaves you in a worse position. So I think it's really, we need to discard the overall, be more granular with how we plan things, how we approach things. If we take a general perspective, you're going to end up fucking things up from little points.
And be more pragmatic.
Yeah.
Like so when I say middle ground, right? So let's take America for example. I would say find the middle ground between the ultra right wing, white supremacist, Ku Klux Klan following, like whiteys with fucking swastikas on their chest, and the woke people who are ultra left leaning, who took over Seattle, right?
The jazz people?
Yeah, left, those were the leftists, right?
I think so, yeah.
They took over a whole fucking city, and the whole guise that they took over the city under was that we are for the people and yada yada yada, and all of that left-wing communist ideology that sounds good on paper. But then they ended up shooting people, creating a mess, literally almost bringing a city down.
Public services pretty much out, nobody could bring healthcare.
Right. So that doesn't work either. especially on a micro level, right? Maybe you can make it function the way the Soviets did on a macro level, but you and I both know the amount of shit the Soviets put their country through just to make it look like it was functioning when it really wasn't.
Central planning can never work. You can't have a state controlling economy and make it go somewhere. That's just never gonna work.
That, and more importantly, on a human level, you cannot take people's autonomy and think that is going to be functional.
You simply can't micromanage things and hope for economic prosperity. That's never going to work.
Anyway, back to the Olympics. So you said something about Turkey. Yeah, I think you were talking about the animal. You were making a reference.
Oh yeah, well, it's a Turkish Shooter political.
Yeah.
Angles,
So that
right?
reminded me of exactly Turkish Shooter, right? Reminded me of the Turkish Shooter. He got really famous because he's just like somebody's dad who got off of a sofa. He was just like watching TV or playing on the PlayStation, and he just got up and he's like, silver medal, fuck you, bitches.
No equipment, no nothing. Just shows up, hands in pocket, blows a fucking like wad out of the fucking target and walks away. Right. And he gets a silver medal.
Right.
You see all these people with like those eye patches, right? Those little covers. They got like heavy equipment. They got wires.
A cover on one eye, a magnifying lens on the other eye.
And you can just sense their assholes are like clenched up. They're all trying to get their fucking target. This guy shows up, like probably had a beer before, shoots his target, walks off, gets a silver medal. Already back home probably with his cat.
that was really cool, bro. See, that is something that I would say this generation, like Gen Z and all of the other gens that are coming after it.
I don't know what generation mine would be. I think I'm Gen A.
Gen what?
I think I'm Gen A.
Dude, honestly I don't give a fuck about any of this shit.
Gen Z is like 12, right?
I don't know.
Well,
I was talking to this friend of mine yesterday, and she was like, "Oh, so you are a millennial, right?" And I'm like, "I don't fucking know."
Yeah, you're a millennial because you're 1990, 1999, right? No, 96. Yeah,
99. What the fuck do you think?
I was thinking something
I'd
else.
love to be 99 though, to be honest. Not because I want to be younger, just because like that would allow me to fuck around for a couple more years now without getting serious.
Still in your prime?
Huh?
Still in your prime?
I am in my prime, dude. I'm gonna be in my prime till I fucking die.
Ah, okay, sure.
No, but
let's get you.
In any case, like men are in their prime till the late 30s or till 40.
Depends on what you call the prime.
Physically,
no, like 35, you're pushing it.
38, 40, physical prime. If you take care of yourself. That's when your testosterone starts dropping.
You have MMA fighters who fall apart at the age of 35. I mean, Volkanovski is not exactly having a good time.
They fall apart at that age because
brain damage and all. Yeah,
the shit kicked out of them
that
and
too.
beating their body up since they were teenagers. There's a big difference, right?
But they're not in their prime. They're still physically capable.
A normal person will have his prime till 38, 40 physically, and that is when he'll start deteriorating. And he can still cover up for it if he's, physically active, exercising the right way. Lifting heavy weights is a very big thing. So if you're lifting heavy weights, that actually keeps your physicality stable for longer. So all of that does matter. Dude, David Goggins does not take anything even at his age. Like he doesn't do testosterone replacement therapy, no TRT, no nothing.
You can never know.
I'm pretty sure. Dude, that guy's running all the fucking time.
Yeah, but you have steroids for stamina and cardio as well.
Yeah, my point is the amount of exercise and the amount of like stress he puts his body through. His body is already like producing testosterone on a higher level than anybody his age, right? Because he's pushing his body constantly. That's one of the parameters that you need to break through to allow your body to develop testosterone, especially as you age. So the amount of stress he puts on his body is probably producing a fuck ton of testosterone.
Yeah, the thing about physical development is the earlier you start and the more you sustain it for longer, the higher dividends is going to pay down the line. If you start later on and you keep pushing it, it becomes worse.
Yeah, it's the same as if you have played a specific sport at a high level at a certain point in your life, in your early life, or if you've been exercising intensively in your early life and you don't do it for a while, it's easier for you to just pick it up and get back in shape or get that dexterity for the sport back again, because your muscle memory doesn't let you forget it. You know, you get into the groove very quickly compared to somebody who's starting from scratch.
Yeah.
Say for example, so I've been playing football almost all my life, or other sports as well, all my life. If I go back now to play basketball or football or something like that, for the first week or so, I'll be a little like not as coordinated as I usually am. But then after a week, I get back into the groove. It's the same with exercising. Like, if I want to get back in shape, it'll take me like 3 weeks to get in decent shape, and then I can keep building on from there. But for somebody who has never exercised, for him to get back in shape, get into shape would be like a year long, if he's lucky, maybe 2 year long process. So yeah, I think that's what the difference is.
You already have those stacks.
Exactly,
right?
right.
To build off of.
Like, regardless of whether I'm exercising or not, if I go to the gym, I will still be lifting heavier than a normal person.
Yeah.
And that will be my starting weight. So I'm going to progress to what I was at my peak, right? Vis-a-vis, if you were starting out, you're going to start at the lowest rung.
Yeah, I mean, like, I haven't gone to the gym in very long time actually.
About 15 days.
No, like regular gym, not boxing. And even then, I've done that for like months. And I haven't lifted weights in forever. But I'm still in decent enough shape. I've lost muscles, obviously. But
like, you're pretty lean.
I've always been lean, but that's not the
just-
issue.
Yeah, that's an age thing.
Yeah.
When I was your age, like, I was lean, but I was bigger.
Yeah.
So it's easier to be lean when you're younger. As you age, you put on like fat easier.
Yeah. You start your metabolism kind of just slows down a lot more, and you start putting on a lot more muscle.
You can put on a lot more muscle as well. Like, so that stage where when you start putting on a little more
25-ish.
fat, 25 beyond 25. So if you're not exercising, you will put on fat easier. But if you are exercising, you'll put on a lot more muscle.
Yeah.
Right? So, for example, I can put on more muscle. Even when we were younger, like, you've always been leaner, I've always been stockier. But if we had the same gleat, right, or the same physicality, at 28, I'd be able to put on more muscle than you would at 22. You know? So that also, with age, your body develops in that sense.
Conversely, it becomes harder to build stamina at 25, 20, like once you cross that threshold.
I think that is, stamina is something that you build not because of your age or your physicality or anything. It's just like putting yourself through the ringer.
It genuinely becomes way harder for you to build that cardiovascular like efficiency that you wouldn't as like if you started younger. That's why you want to start really young with your sprinting and all that, build your cardio, because later on becomes exponentially harder. You can do it, but it's going to take longer and it's going to take more time.
Anyway, back to the Olympics.
Yeah.
So we talked about the Turkish guy. We talked about the
Imani Khalif.
Yeah, and we talked about the table of trans chicks. So, what do you think about Vinesh Phogat, right? That's her name.
Vinesh Phogat, yeah. I think
she got disqualified for being 100 grams overweight.
Yeah, but that's with the +2 buffer. There's a +-2 buffer. I'm pretty sure.
Like grams?
No, kilograms. I believe.
No, it's not kilograms.
Because it's not going to be kilograms.
Because I'll tell you what it is. So the women's weight classes, they start at 50. That's the first rung.
Yeah.
And the second one is 53. It's just a 3 kg difference. Just a 3 kg difference.
3 kg makes a difference in grappling.
Not really.
Absolutely.
I mean, no, I don't think so. I think
at the Olympic level,
I think 3 kgs is too short of a range.
3 kilograms is like, especially the Olympics level where you need every single edge that you can.
Yeah,
so
but
even
it is too short of a range. It is too fucking short of a range. That's too less. You could go have a nice meal right now and literally put on like 2.5 kgs, right, by the evening, right? And you can also drain yourself of fluids and put yourself through a weight cutting process and drop all of that weight, right? But that is harder, and there's a limit to it because then your organs start shutting down.
Exactly.
So that is what my point is. Like, the range should be larger, right? You can't have a 3 kilogram range. That's too less. Because people will fluctuate. Normal people like you and me and other people that we know, they fluctuate every day in weight, right?
Yeah.
So if you're giving an athlete a 3 kilogram range, where they're already in a stressful situation and their weight fluctuations are larger, right? Because of the amount of exercise they do when they're losing weight and the amount that they gain when they're trying to consume food for energy, right? And for building muscle mass, their range fluctuates a lot more. So if you and I can fluctuate between 2.5, 3 kgs easily, imagine how hard it is for a fighter to control that.
Yeah, see, the thing about all of this is that the rules are pretty steadfast in how they were set. You can't it's a tragedy, and
So
it's always going to be a tragedy.
Here's my thing. The World Championships do not follow the rules that the Olympics follow. So there is a federation, the UBB something or some UWW, some shit like that, and they have a set of rules that apply to wrestling federations. The Olympics use that, which is why even 100 grams overweight got Phogat disqualified. But the World Championships don't use that. So the World Championships give you a larger range, right? And it is proven to be more effective because it doesn't stress the athletes as much.
Yeah.
So my whole thing is, when you have a system that works better and is acceptable on the international level, right? Because it's the World Championships. Every wrestler competes there, right?
Right.
Why is the Olympics still conforming to something that is archaic?
That's pretty much, yeah.
If you're going to do that, right, go back to original Greek Olympic system,
Pancration.
or like develop your system and allow athletes to perform better.
I think that's just a case of big institutions, big structures not really evolving, because they never really do. Nobody wants to change things, you know.
But dude, imagine, like,
Because now you have to be accountable for it.
In the Rio Olympics, she got injured, so that kind of fucked her chances of medaling. In these Olympics, she got disqualified when she was supposed to be the favorite, because she had already beaten.
Like pretty much the best women's wrestler.
Exactly, right. Yeah. And now, not only have they disqualified her from fighting in the final, they have also brought her down on the ranking list.
Yep.
So she's not even supposed to be getting a silver. That is the idea.
Yeah.
Which is fucked up.
Yeah, that's
because she's already won the silver medal fight.
Pretty much.
Right. So at least give her the fucking silver. Now you're just being a cunt.
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
I'm pretty sure she retired as well.
She retired?
She retired.
Holy fuck.
She said, fuck it, I'm done wrestling.
Dude, the best wrestler in her class and probably one of the best women's wrestlers that India has produced has been dealt 2 bad hands in 2 Olympics. And now she's retiring.
Yeah,
That's
she said she's
sad, bro.
Yeah. She said she is thankful for her wrestling career, but now it's done. She's moving on.
I don't know, man. This is horse shit. Dude, Neeraj Chopra. Okay, you want to hear a funny story? So talking to that friend of mine I was telling you about, and so she said, oh, I'm watching Neeraj Chopra's javelin event, right? And I was like, oh, didn't he lose? I think he lost yesterday by a very small margin. And she was like, no, he's like competing in front of me live. I was like, no, he got a silver medal by a very small margin, and I don't know why I had that in my head, because she was watching it live. And then she was like, did you just have a premonition? Because then it actually happened. And that fucked me up a little bit, because like, did I just have a premonition? No.
I assume so.
I don't.
For you?
The fuck, dude, this is gonna go on the internet.
You're gonna cut it out if you have to anyway. That's exactly
legal in India, idiot.
Oh yeah.
You're not in Canada anymore, you fucking idiot. If I get arrested,
basis alone.
If I get arrested and mom bails me out, you are dead. Anyway, so Neeraj Chopra, right?
Warm.
He got a silver medal, and he was very nice to the Pakistani guy that won, because he's already beaten him like a bunch of times. And their mothers, they were approached by news channels, and they were very nice about each other's children as well, right? Which is quite fascinating, because usually when you No, I completely get
I
it.
mean, at this point, it's very common.
Yeah,
It
but
always happens.
so it's common when you go abroad and you meet a Pakistani
Yeah.
because they treat you like a brother.
I worked with one. Yeah.
Right, and they're very nice to you because
Yeah.
at a community level, Indians and Pakistanis function very well together,
Mm.
generally, especially abroad.
Mm.
Or even when you go to Pakistan as an Indian or an Indian or a Pakistani comes to India, right?
Mm.
But on a cultural level, we're always shitting on each other.
Mm.
So that was nice to see. Like for them, they didn't have to do that, right? They could just be like, oh, congratulations to the Pakistani guy that beat my son. And oh, congratulations to the Indian guy because last time he beat my son, but this time my son won.
Mm.
But they were actually very gracious about it. Like they were like, oh, he's also my child, so it's nice that he won the gold medal.
Mm.
So I think that was a nice show of what Indians and Pakistanis actually think about each other compared to what the political system would have you believe, right?
See, if you spend too much time on the internet, India and Pakistan are sworn enemies that can never have peace. If you spend your life outside the internet and take the sun in a little bit and spend some time with other people, you kind of don't give a fuck.
It's funny that you say that because you were not willing to sit in the sun like a few minutes ago.
Well, I'm not willing to bake under the sun. There's a difference. I'm entirely okay with sitting under the sun for a little bit.
Yeah,
I'm sitting in the sun right now.
You're talking like you're in a Clint Eastwood movie, and
Amen.
Ugly has got you in the desert, trying to drink water out of his shoe after he washed his feet in it. Right?
Yeah.
I don't want to bake in the sun. Worst comes to worst, you go sit inside and you'll be fine.
Is the lights? Okay, yeah, lights on.
Yeah.
It's probably gonna be gone in like 5 minutes.
Mm.
Look at
Not
how
now.
warm it is.
No, it's not gonna rain now. So
No, but so light goes off when it's either too sunny or it's too like rainy, right?
no, not when it's too sunny.
Well, it went out today.
Yeah, that was because in the morning it was about to rain. And
Okay.
they do these preemptive strikes. Fucking idiots.
Fuck you in particular.
Yeah, fucking idiots. Welcome to Punjab.
It didn't used to be this bad when I left.
No,
Genuinely.
it used to be much worse when you left.
We
Because
used to have
Back then, the light would go off more often. Now it's
no.
better.
When we moved into the house, right, then it was pretty bad. But as the years went by, it got a lot better to the point you wouldn't have an outage for multiple days in a row, and it would be very occasional.
Yeah.
And then I left.
So
and then it got fucked completely.
we haven't had an outage till yesterday
No, like multiple days in a row.
because of the weather. So here's the thing, right? Because in this area, there is so much greenery and there are so many trees and all that shit that when you have a thunderstorm, and you saw the thunderstorm yesterday, right?
Terrible, yeah.
Like it literally blew shit all over the place.
Yeah.
You still have people picking up like trees and branches on the streets. You saw that today. So what happens is these branches, they fall onto the wires, right? And they fuck everything up. So they try to avoid short circuits and like electrocutions and all
I
that
know
crap.
the reason, but like even in because Canada, right? In winter you have terrible fucking snowstorms all the time, and they've adjusted to that. Here we never seen that.
Yeah,
Here it's like as long as we can
because in
fix
Canada
it,
you have underground lines.
Yeah.
You don't have that here. Number one, and number two, in Canada, if you switch off the electricity in the winter, everybody's going to fucking freeze to death.
It's not just that; it's the shit show that follows. There's a bunch of other things that become problematic as well. It's not. They don't shut off the light willy-nilly, you know.
Yeah. Western countries, man. Can't deal with the weather. Anyway, so anything else from the Olympics you want to talk about?
Honestly, nah.
Oh, do you know that there was this whole thing about that river in Paris where they were supposed to have these swimming competitions and these water competitions, and they said that it's too dirty at this particular point, so we'll wait for it to clean up a bit. And then they got people to swim in it, and the athletes were like, this is fucking crazy, this is toxic shit.
Yeah. I'm not, is it recent?
Yeah, it was like for these Olympics.
I haven't heard about that now.
Yeah.
With everything that's happening, I guess I haven't really looked into it.
It's the same river that during the protests, Parisians said they would shit in the river.
The fuck?
Yeah. They were like, if you don't conform to our demands, we're going to take a shit in this river that flows through Paris.
How do you publicize that?
They did.
No, like imagine going on TV and be like, if you don't meet our like every time I picture like people on TV making demands or some shit, I picture Al Qaeda. So like, imagine going on TV.
What?
Yeah.
So when the farmers' protests were going on and they were going on television to give their demands,
They look the part.
You,
Close enough.
wow, you just compared farmers to Al Qaeda. I think you're taking the please be offended thing too seriously.
No, like, like shut your brain off and just look at the images, right? And just meld things a little bit. You'll see it.
The Al Qaeda doesn't wear the kind of turbans that Sikhs wear.
See, for the average global, like, for somebody who's not part of India or part of the Middle East,
yeah,
or
you
whatever,
ignorant
we
fucks.
all look.
You
we all look the
ignorant
fucking
fucks.
same.
Yeah.
They don't even understand
You
language. So as far as
ignorant-
they're concerned, we're pretty much all terrorists.
You ignorant fucks. you are a Jat Sikh yourself,
Yeah.
and you're talking shit about Jat Sikhs and turbans
Well,
and comparing
I know
them to the Al Qaeda. We
talk
are
shit
like,
about everything. You never take things seriously. That's
no,
the
I'm
big-
not taking it seriously. I'm pretty sure somebody's going to comment on this video and be like, your brother is a cunt.
I am a cunt.
You're a cunt.
I am a cunt.
Fuck, you're a big,
I'm a self-aware cunt.
you're a big self-aware cunt. Anything else from the Olympics before we go to Bangladesh?
You know more about the Olympics than I do.
I do.
Maybe. I don't know. What was next? Bangladesh?
Bangladesh.
How did
So-
that even work?
Bangladesh.
Yeah, the whole like we've seen such like way worse, way more impactful, or what you would assume to have a lot more impact, right? A lot more impactful movements, a lot more impactful insurgencies for that. I mean, for
It's
God's
not
sake.
an insurgency.
And
it's
then
just-
you have a bunch of
it's just-
students show up, bang the fucking door, and the whole house crumbles. You know?
Okay, so what is funniest to me about Bangladesh is you have all of these Indians saying, oh, Hindus are being like slaughtered in Bangladesh and blah blah blah, and they're being treated badly.
When are they never?
And my whole thing is like, okay, so why don't you talk about this when your community does this to minorities in India?
Oh, see, there's a Punjabi proverb, right? Sada kutta kutta, thoda kutta Tommy.
That's not a Punjabi proverb. That's from a Punjabi movie.
Well, it is a proverb now.
I mean, kind of. If you want to like integrate it into Punjabi culture.
Yeah, I mean, it will eventually, of
Yeah,
course.
it is exactly that. So for people who don't understand, Sada Kutta Kutta Tada Kutta Tommy loosely translates to, oh, your dog is a dog, but my dog is Tommy. So you basically, yeah, biased towards your dog.
Yeah.
That is the analogy.
Nobody actually see. One of the biggest things I realized when you look at politics is nobody actually gives a fuck about the ethics. Everybody wants to project themselves as some savior, right?
Yeah, but
nobody wants.
It's not about the politics.
Yeah.
It's about random Indians saying, "Oh, Hindus are being killed."
Yeah, that's politics.
Like motherfucker, did you bitch about Sikhs being killed when your community was doing it, or did you bitch about Muslims being killed during all of these riots that we have had in India?
Take the context of the politics situation going on right now, right?
Yeah.
And then and then it becomes pretty obvious why.
How so?
Like every community, right? It's not even Hindus, right? You look at Muslims, you look at anybody, right? You look at these extremists. Every one of them has the same modus operandi, right?
Yeah.
My community comes first. We are all victims. History is being revised.
Yeah.
And you're all the cunts. And it's not even new, to be honest, at this point.
You know what? Here's the funny thing. So the people who are leading the protests. So the protest in Bangladesh is basically based on the idea that Sheikh Hasina's government gives
quotas, right?
to people from a war that Bangladesh fought, right?
The not the Razaka, the 1971 one.
Yeah, and the Razakas is the community that is, that's a
considered
communal
turncoats and all.
Yeah. So that is separate. So basically the people, so this was mostly a student-led like protest, and Muslim students have used the audio systems that they use in mosques for azans to talk about the fact that they don't want to harm Hindus and please stop harming Hindus, right? Which is commendable in my eye. Nobody's talking about that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so people are talking shit about Hindus getting hurt and all of that shit. nobody was talking about it in Manipur. You had very
Nobody's talking about
small-
Manipur period.
Yeah, nobody's talking about Manipur
What
anymore.
even happens in Manipur right now? Like, what's even happening in Manipur right now?
You don't know. Like, okay, so shit went
just
down.
stopped watching
Shit
it,
went
but-
down in Manipur,
Yeah.
and the pro-Hindu right-wing government of India blocks the internet in the state and completely shuts down information coming
Yeah.
in and out of Manipur,
Yeah.
so that Indians themselves don't know
Know what
what's
the fuck is
happening in
going
their
on.
own country.
Yeah.
Right? Where the Metis are killing minorities,
yeah.
and the cookies are killing the Metis.
You made a video on that, right?
I did.
Yeah.
I did. And so, where do you get the balls to then say, oh, Bangladesh is doing this and that is bad? Like, okay, it is bad, but have a little bit of humility. And there's this saying in Punjabi, right? Since we're doing Punjabi phrases, apni peed tale sota maar ke dekho.
Haan.
Right? Like, look at your own shit first and then judge other people.
Exactly.
You can say it is wrong, but don't judge them because you do this shit on a regular basis.
It's kind of funny seeing Indians look at other people like savages when we have the same kind of shit on a broader scale happening all over the country.
Worse.
Yeah, actually worse.
Because what Bangladesh can do as a nation when it comes to harming different communities,
It's not that much.
India does on a state level.
Yeah.
Right? So we have this going on at multiple stages in multiple states.
It's practically art down here, you know.
Yeah.
We perfected this shit.
Yep.
I mean, we have it down to a like even governments like are pretty like notorious for this, and both governments. Not even like people keep saying BJP this, BJP that. Congress has done this shit before as well.
Yeah,
I don't know why they're
yes.
treating this like a new phenomena. The only thing the BJP has done is taking this and cranked it up to 11, and even
Yeah.
then they haven't done all that much compared to whatever Congress has done. They have done it to a granular level, but the higher tier shit.
I mean, dude,
You know?
Gujarat was pretty bad.
Yeah, I guess Gujarat is one, but then you look at Kashmir, then you look at Punjab.
Okay, so the whole Kashmir thing I think is separate from Gujarat and Punjab.
It really isn't. Like, Kashmir is the same as Punjab. Like, the only difference is that one ended up becoming a bigger problem. We contained Punjab, we didn't contain Kashmir.
No. It's not about the fact that they couldn't contain Kashmir and they contained Punjab. The thing about Kashmir is there is a live insurgency there which has existed since Kashmir has been a part of India.
No.
The insurgency in Punjab was like, it was a phase. In Kashmir, it's never been a phase.
Because we let it be a phase. In Kashmir, no, because we clamped down on it. That's the difference, right? When Punjab happened, right, we immediately went for the fucking like the government immediately went for the throat. It invaded the Golden Temple. It immediately clamped down on it and started hunting down the militants. That didn't really.
It took a long time for them to get there. And number two, I don't agree with that either. Because the Congress government, Indira Gandhi, is responsible for propping up Indrawala in the first place.
Yeah.
Right. So the person that you put in that position goes against you. And then that becomes a problem for you. It is your fault.
It was the
You
same thing in
shouldn't have
Kashmir.
been fucking with that situation
It
in
was
the
the same
first
thing in
place.
Kashmir. You put Abdullah up, right, and he wasn't very keen on maintaining that territorial integrity.
No,
let's
he
just
was
say.
very keen on maintaining territorial integrity.
He didn't want to be
was
part of
very
India.
keen
India.
on not letting Article 370 play a role in taking away power.
I guess.
Right? So
Yeah.
he wanted to maintain the territory as it was.
Hmm.
Now my whole thing is, okay, you want to go into Kashmir, right? At least appeal to the population that lives there so that
Absolutely.
they are on your side instead of dicking around with them. And it's the same with Punjab while it was going through that phase. Do not push Punjabis to the point where they say, you know what, fuck it, now we're going to put up your ass. Right? Don't do that to martial communities because then you are going to get into trouble. Bring them on your side. See, they are your people anyway.
It's not even martial communities. Like, you look at Sri Lanka, they weren't a martial community, but they put up a very good resistance because they were trained for that current point of warfare.
Who trained them? Who trained the LTT?
We did, but the community itself doesn't matter in that regard.
You know where they were trained?
Yeah, a lot of them were brought to.
Near Dehradun.
I'm pretty. Yeah, near Dehradun. There's a base over
there
there.
was a raw black site where they were trained.
Yeah.
You want to hear a funny story? There's a special forces officer, right? Whose father trained the LTT while
I know
he
about
was
that.
young, and
he
they were
fought
in
them.
Dehradun. and then he went on to
He
become
went
an
to fight
SF
them.
officer.
Yeah, and he fought them.
And he fought them in Sri Lanka.
I know about
and
that.
they had a conversation about it after the war. And his father was also ex-army, special forces,
operations, yeah.
special operations, and then trained people for RAW and worked for RAW, right?
Yeah.
So highly decorated, highly capable operative. And the son was very similar. So after all of this shit happened, they were sitting down and having a drink one day in their family home in Dehradun, where they still live. And so the father didn't admit that I trained them because you're not supposed to.
Yeah.
Right? But he hinted at it. So he was like, oh, so my boys were good, right? And he was like, yeah. they killed so many of our people.
I think that's the point though, like at this day and age, maybe like back in the day, right, when you were fighting with like medieval weaponry and all that, though that kind of culture was very, very important, it kind of still is. But in this day and age where warfare is a lot more decentralized, where you don't require a lot of training to fuck things up, I mean, you can learn to make a bomb from the internet and just slam it into something and blow it up, right? You don't need to be a martial community, you just need to be willing to fight.
Yeah, that, but
Like,
so martial,
look at
martial,
this, right?
commu-
Look at
martial
this way, right?
communities.
We as Punjabis are so disconnected from modern warfare. We're still stuck in the sword and dagger stage of we're a martial community and we'll slash you down.
No,
But
that is
we've
separate.
moved on to
That
guns
is separate.
Mm.
See, that is the traditional aspect of what the community is, of what the warrior community is, right? So there is talk. So I know this is like kind of silly, but on news channels people are talking about, will Bangladesh invade India because India has taken in Sheikh Hasina. So number one, what do you think about India giving asylum to Sheikh Hasina? And number two, what do you think about this warmongering and this whole concept of Bangladesh is going to start a fight with India?
Okay, Sheikh Hasina thing, I don't really agree with it.
Me neither.
I think she doesn't have any political value anymore.
Finally, we agree on something.
We'll get back to the Afghanistan thing at some point.
No, we are not.
No, like later.
No, we are not.
But
at least not on camera.
like, yeah, she doesn't have any political value. She has nothing to go with. So why are we exactly fucking up our future relations with Bangladesh
Right.
for somebody who has no value?
Right?
And she's not exactly a very morally or like ethically like
Okay,
valuable person.
here's
So
one thing.
there's not even a matter of, oh, this person is actually genuinely.
Here's one thing I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Though. Over the last 2 or 3 years, there was this notion, and rightfully so, that Bangladesh was doing very well economically. And there was a certain phase where it was doing very well economically under this particular leader, because she's been in power over a long span of time, over multiple terms, right? Now, regardless of that, whatever political shit went down and things went bad for her, that is what we are experiencing right now. But so this whole concept of, oh, Bangladesh has been shit under her rule, I don't agree with that, because number one, she was voted in over multiple terms. Now things might not be agreeable to the people now, but they did vote her in. You can say maybe, okay, in the last elections she kind of tampered with the votes.
And she's been tampering since the beginning.
I don't think so.
Absolutely.
You cannot come to power by tampering with the votes. You can stay in power by tampering with the votes.
Yeah, and she's been there for like how long now?
Yeah,
I can't even remember at this point.
But for a long period of time, even Bangladeshis had no problem with her. It's been over the last term that they've been pissed at her.
Yeah, okay.
This is like, to me, this is an exaggerated case of what you were saying about Trump and the American president.
I think it's valid. Like compared to Trump, it's not even close.
No. What I'm saying is, you said people in America want somebody new. I think this is an exaggerated case of people in Bangladesh wanting somebody new, and Sheikh Hasina having done some fucked up shit herself.
Yeah, but I don't think the protests themselves weren't a matter of, oh, we want a new face. They were a matter of, we're fucking done with the quotas, move on. We need these unfair laws taken away, and we want more like equal opportunity. We want more like we want more options, right?
Yes,
because the most stable jobs are also the ones that were reserved.
Okay,
by our government.
Let's take.
It ended up in the way that she ended up leaving.
Let's take this into account. Okay, so what if tomorrow the general class in in India, which is the largest, by the way, decides to protest against quotas in India, which even B.R. Ambedkar, who the scheduled castes and the scheduled tribes see as their savior, who was a brilliant man, no doubt. Even he brought in this concept of quotas with the idea that in a decade we are going to abolish it. Right? But the communities that they were supposed to favor have not allowed it to get phased out.
Which,
right?
yeah.
So what if tomorrow the general class in India decides to say, fuck the scheduled castes, fuck the scheduled tribes, we don't want quotas anymore, and you have a similar protest in India, what would you say then?
As long as the demands are, the thing about affirmative action, right? This is affirmative action.
Here's the thing, right? Sheikh Hasina could not go back on it because the whole idea of taking away quotas from marginalized communities or affected communities is something that is political suicide, especially when those communities make up your vote bank. If tomorrow in India the general class decides that fuck the government, we don't want quotas anymore, abolish them, the government will not be able to go back on it because it will affect their political capital within the nation, and they will be in a very similar situation.
I think it's very different there. For one, let's look at the affirmative action here and let's look at the affirmative action there. Affirmative action, which is basically the quota thing in Bangladesh, is regarding basically Hasina allowing people from families that were a lot more loyal to her regime and her father's regime. It's a way for her to let those people inside positions of power. It's no coincidence that the positions that have quotas on them are also the most valuable and not profitable.
The prime jobs.
The prime jobs in Bangladesh, right? The best jobs you can get in Bangladesh. Some of the best jobs you can get in Bangladesh.
But you have a very...
And government jobs.
You have a very similar thing happening in India on an informal level and at a larger scale.
In India, it's not a matter of being... the government isn't getting these people in specifically...
No, I'm not talking about quotas anymore, right? So my point is, in India, people who are in power give jobs, opportunities, business loans at a large scale and allow for bad business practices to happen because those people align with their agenda.
Yeah.
Right. So it happens on a larger scale but slightly more informally. So that is what I'm saying. If the same issue comes up in India tomorrow, how is the government going to tackle it? And where should the government stand? It doesn't have an option then, because you cannot go back on the people who are basically the base of the pyramid that you have built, because then the pyramid collapses, which is the same situation Sheikh Hasina was in. If she goes back on these quotas, the base of the pyramid that she has built as a political entity collapses. So then even if she gets people who are opposed to her right now on her side, it's not like they're going to vote for her. They're still going to vote for other people in the next elections, even if she conforms to their demands. So it is like, I'm not saying she's right. What I'm saying is she was in between a rock and a hard place.
I think it's different because India is a lot more fractured, and getting a protest up and running of that scale to the point where you can affect a government. We saw the farm protest, right? We saw how long it took. We saw what the casualties were. We saw how much effort it took. And after all that, the best we got is the farm laws getting repealed. That was just the farm laws.
We didn't get anything.
Farm laws got repealed, right?
They got repealed.
Yeah.
So basically they said these fucked up laws that we are bringing in, we won't bring them in.
Exactly.
They did not address any of the problems that the farmers wanted addressed.
So
and that is my gripe with the protest itself.
So
you went there with a very specific agenda. Number one, we don't want these laws. Number two, these are the issues that we have been facing for decades. Address them and come up with laws that address these issues. Right? This is my gripe with the farmers' protest. They got one thing, which is the repealing of the laws, which is the easiest thing to get rid of. And then they were like, oh yeah, just pack up camp and leave.
Yep.
Why not stick around and get the other demands also?
And that's my point, right? It took all that effort just for one little measly appeasement, and it all fell apart.
Yeah,
and then
that
you
is my point, right?
It
should not be that fucking easy to appease people who are protesting against you. You can't, somebody says I'm hungry, I am dying of hunger, right? and you give them a lollipop, and that guy says, okay, yeah, lollipop, and just leaves, right? What about a full fucking meal?
Yeah.
You are still hungry. The lollipop is not going to fill your
And
stomach.
that's the point I was building towards. It doesn't take all that much to satiate the public in India, because we are a lot more fractured, and it takes a lot more effort, a lot more like resources to pull together protest in India for it to make a difference.
Organization and logistics.
Basic difference, yeah. And for you to organize a protest of that level, where you have to get a lot of people, like a lot more people than the farm protest, in order to change something that's already been there. This isn't even a new law coming in. This has been there for a while, and it has defenders.
Yeah, but in Bangladesh,
ingrained
the quota has
defenders.
been around since the war.
But Bangladesh is a lot less fractured than India is, on a demographic level.
Yeah, because they have
Bangladesh-
fewer communities.
Exactly. So they have a lot less things they have to juggle around. Here you have a different community like you go to a different district, you have different community, dialect, etc., etc. You have so many people you have to collect, like work, like somehow bring together, and it's nearly impossible in this country to get people on the same page. You can't do that to such a level where you can enact a massive change that, by the way, hurts their political
I was
capital.
just using it
They'd much rather.
I was just using it as a thought experiment in comparison to what is happening in Bangladesh.
Yeah, so their government in India would much rather just take this to the 8 count, right? Just waste time, let this simmer out, and then like move on with its own thing, because people have short-term memories. That's how it always happens in this country. They don't acknowledge the protest; they just let it burn out,
Yeah.
because they don't have to do anything.
Pretty much.
People are going to tear themselves apart anyway. We've had way worse things happen. We had a pogrom in Delhi like 4 years ago. We've had Gujarat, right? We've had way worse things happen, and the government hasn't done shit about it on a concrete level. So why would it
Manipur
do it?
was pretty bad.
Manipur
the
is a
most
full-on
recent
insurgency.
example.
What have they done about it?
No, it's not even an insurgency. It's like a full-on war between
Yeah,
two
it's a
communities.
civil war,
It's not an
basically.
insurgency. It was a full-on war between two communities where, okay, so when two countries go to war, usually at least they conform to the rules of war. The Metis and the Kukis weren't even doing that, because they were making women run around naked and raping them and doing all of that shit, right? Especially the Metis, because there are documented instances of it, and I'm sure the other side must have done something like that as well. I don't quote me on it, but they probably would have, because these things work out that way, right? And nobody has addressed it.
Yeah.
Even now, nobody addressed it then. Nobody has addressed it
Our
now.
propensity for societal violence is so fucking high, we don't even give a shit about literal civil wars.
Yeah,
happening in
right.
states.
Okay, so I'll give you an example.
Much less a protest.
I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
So most of my friends from college are doctors, right? Or most of the people I know from college are doctors. So this lady, this doctor in Calcutta in a hospital, you might have read this news. So she was a junior resident. She was doing a PG post graduation, and she got raped and murdered by somebody there. So a volunteer, and so everybody's like, oh, there's this new trend going on that this conflict in Bangladesh, all eyes on Hindus, and this rape case in Calcutta, all eyes on doctors.
That's exactly
right?
what you need. You need
That fucking pisses me off
Yeah,
so much.
exactly
because
what
it's
we
not
need.
going to last more than fucking 5
somebody
days.
got dehumanized and died. Let's politicize this shit.
Exactly.
You know?
Not just politicize it.
Just in service of the memory.
No, not just politicize it.
Yeah.
Let's make it a format on the internet that you can use just to feel like you're part of a community. And here's my issue, right? It is not going to last for more than 5 days. This all eyes on Bangladeshi Hindus, all eyes on doctors thing, right? It's not going to last more than 5 days, 1 week, 2 weeks. And then everybody's going to fucking forget about it till the next female doctor gets raped and murdered.
Yeah.
Right? Which is why I find it so fucking stupid. Like all of these people who I know who are going around posting these things, all eyes on this. Instead of doing that, instead of just conforming to what is basically a meme format, put up something meaningful, right? Or don't put anything up at all if you feel like you can't affect change.
It's very similar to Israel-Palestine in a sense.
We'll keep that on the back
Oh yeah,
burner
we're not
for
bringing
now.
that up. But
Right.
like
Okay, so
similarities,
this whole thing,
right?
all eyes on Bangladeshi Hindus, right? Why is nobody talking about the shit that goes on in India?
Yeah. Because it's not convenient.
No, it is because it is in India. It's our country.
Yeah, it's because it's not convenient, for political optics.
Nobody is talking about the facilities that are given to doctors in hospitals or the lack thereof, right? Nobody is talking about bringing in institutional changes into the medical system that prevails in India, right?
Yeah.
Nobody is talking about any of that. So this is just like, all eyes on doctors, placards, protests. After 5 days, when we are bored with it or we are sick of going to protests, we're just going to go back home and get on with our lives.
Fuck, dude, when it comes to making actual progress, when have we ever done that?